Well, it's episode number 54 and I'm so excited to share this particular video with all of you. It is these ultimate 7 free tools for swing traders and investors. It is a must watch because you will tag me hopefully after this for saving you some money, cancelling your Tradingview subscription probably. Well, who knows. I'm going to run through quickly these 7 tools and I'm going to tell you exactly what I use them for. Now, number 1 is Tradingview. And if you don't already know, there's of course a free tier subscription on Tradingview, totally free. Of course, you get very minimal indicators. But then I ask you, if you are a middle term, weeks to month swing trader, or if you are a long-term investor, do you really need so many indicators on your chart? Probably not. Now, the free tier, I'm going to show you a comparison of the different pricing here in Malaysia, and I think you can easily convert it to your local currency if you wish. But at the end of the day, the free tier is sufficient if you are a swing trader investor. Now, number 2 is also within Tradingview. We've got a little section within it. If you don't already know, there's a notes that you can actually type in within each particular stock that you're looking at, and you can actually use that as your journaling for commenting on the price action, on your emotions for that particular stock. And it is very helpful because your chart will be just next to you when you do the journaling, and when you refer back to it, everything is just there. Also on Tradingview, make use of this. There's a demo trading account available. This is for you to test your strategies, to forward test some of your strategies to make sure that you are on the right track before placing real money. Number 4, I've got Notebooklm. Well, this is part of the Google AI sphere, and if you are not already using Notebooklm, I encourage you to try. I will just show you a couple of things that you can do with Notebooklm. Relating to trading, of course, and this will help in your research and ideation. I am also a big fan of Claude, and Claude AI has helped me in my custom indicator, building a custom indicator for my own trading style. And I've tried other AI platforms, and Claude seems to be just better at coding in PineScript, and subsequently allowing me to use it on Tradingview. I also use Claude AI to build a dashboard. Now, this is still something work in progress. I've tried to build a dashboard earlier this morning, and it looks pretty okay. I'm still have to tweak it a bit. Like anything generated from AI, there will be a few rounds of back and forth before you get the version that you like. And the last one, where everybody maybe take for granted nowadays, is education. There's a lot of knowledge on YouTube, and of course there's also a lot of fluff. So make use of YouTube. I'm going to share some of the channels I follow, and if you're interested, you should subscribe to them as well. Also, these are the 7 tools for charting, for journaling, for practicing, for research, for building indicators, for your P&L tracking, and for education. Now let's move on to Tradingview. This is the Tradingview subscription pricing in Malaysia, and there's of course your monthly and annually. Even the cheapest essential plan costs about $69.95 per month. And if you are serious about trading as a business, well, every expense takes away your winnings. So if you want to be as lean as possible, if you don't really need 2 charts per tab, 5 indicators, 10k historical bars, 20 price alerts, 20 technical alerts, well, you don't mind ads, you can just go with the free tier of TradingView, and that is just sufficient. This is my free version. I've got my custom indicator here, and because I do longer term swing trading, I use the weekly chart. I don't even use daily, to be honest, nowadays. I use the weekly chart because the weekly chart's price action, the open, high, low, close, that is the story that I need to know in order for me to make a decision to buy or sell. Of course, I've custom this to my own preference in terms of coloring and whatnot. And for example, this Oracle, if I were to just turn on my custom indicator here, if you have watched my previous video, I made entry right here when it was in deep discount, and I took profit along the way until, I think the highest I took profit slowly was until 240. Yesterday was the end of the week, and yesterday was a big down week. Of course, everybody, if you're tracking the market, you will know, well, tech basically sold off. It closed at 213, and if you are a swing trader, the weekly chart will be a good indicator for you, because then you looking at this chart, you will still be quite comfortable holding it long term. From where it went up at 135 until 250, that's a big move, more than 60%, I would think. And this particular pullback seems to be about reasonable. Of course, then the bull case will be invalidated if it crosses 177. So it is all about risk reward. If I entered here, my downside would be just somewhere here, probably about 10-20%, but my upside will be somewhere here, and if you stretch up, maybe back to the all-time high at 345. So weekly chart is sufficient for swing traders. Now I talked about notes. So if you are trading Oracle, for example, if you do a right click and you click on this add note for Oracle, you can start writing your journal. Yesterday was a scary down day, and of course you can keep adding to this, and you even timestamp with the date and time, and you can build your journal actually in terms of your entries, your exits, your emotions, the key news that you observe, how the price action was after certain news, and this will be cataloged all in here next to your chart, and you can easily refer to your chart. Because I find that if you journal outside of TradingView, you would probably need to do a screenshot of your chart and put it into your journaling app, and that to me is an extra step. So why would you need to do that if you have the ability to actually key in your journal, your notes, into TradingView itself? So that is that. Great. So what's next? So after journaling, we've got the demo trading. I'm going to close this, and I use let me just switch to Bitcoin. I'll take this out. Now I've got a paper trading account which I created last year in May. I started with a 10,000 US dollar account. I have so far built it up to 18,000 USD, and that is just over 1 year. And in here you can actually track all your trades. You can place trades. You can, and my recent trade was actually to short Bitcoin. I shorted at about 70,000 and I closed it about 67,000 here and 67,000 here. And if you recall my previous video, let me just turn back on my indicator. Let me just change this to 5 years. Yep. So my custom indicator now, I've switched it to 5 years. At this price point earlier this year in May, price was still at the premium. This is the balance point right here in the middle at 70,000. Now for me to go long, price has to come to discount or at the deep discount level. And as I shared in my previous video, how I look at waves is like this. So far what I see is it's going through a third wave before price consolidates and probably move back up. So that's the reason why I took a short. I took a short around 70,000 right here before the giant move last week. And it has taken key levels here, and probably if you are a bit more bearish, price may even hit 55,000. It has already breached 60,000. So next, let's see whether it breaches 55,000. So demo trading is great to actually test your strategies to see whether you have the right strategy or not, and you don't have to risk real money. Next, let's talk about Notebooklm. So I'm based here in Malaysia, and every year for the past couple of years, we've got a local stockbroking house, RHB. They come up with their top 20 jewel picks. And how you would use Notebooklm is, instead of typical large language models where it will search its sources, its own sources, it will come up with a report or outcome based on what you ask for. Now Notebooklm is different. You give it your sources. In this case, I've gave it a few sources, 4 PDF files, cover the well chip counter, to cover Dufu's annual report, to put in the RHB Jewel 2026 report, and to even put a link to a video, a YouTube video that talked about Dufu a couple of months ago. And I actually prompted it to ask whether in 2026, let me see, how should I trade Dufu? Give me a bull case and bear case, highlight key price levels as supports and targets. So this is what they gave me: the bull case, the bear case, key price levels, based on, and the result here is based on all this information that I've asked it to refer to. And I've also asked it to come up with an infographic to analyze the YouTube video, to summarize the YouTube video which talked about Dufu, and it came out with this. So of course you have to check your sources again. You can listen back to the entire YouTube video and see whether this extraction, this summary is accurate or not, and you can then use it as a reference in the future, so you don't have to re-listen to a 20-minute video. So that's how I make use of Notebooklm. Now let's go back to my chart here. I'm going to just collapse the paper trading part, and I'm going to talk about Claude AI. Now, if you are going to build custom indicators, to me right now the best platform is actually using Claude. And let me show you this particular indicator which I have, and I built this all using Claude, and this version 26, I had to update it 26 times to get to the final indicator right now which I'm using. Of course there'll be things that it needs to correct, but because the Claude is so good at it, why I had so many versions of it, because I keep improving my prompt so that it gives me exactly what I wanted. And yeah, this is how brilliant it is. I don't know how to code, but this is all in PineScript, and this actually gives me this particular indicator which I use, and I can even swap. In fact, this was not something I asked for, the ability to change the time period, but I find it very useful because stocks moves in price ranges as far as I'm concerned. This was the earlier price range, and now it's trading in this price range. So in this price range, the midpoint is here, and if you are a perpetual bull, I would urge you to only buy when it's in a deep discount. Right? Patience is key. If you bought here at 124, you will be down 50% by now. So it's a tough situation to be, but that's how it is. So custom indicators, use Claude to build your PineScript, and there you have it. Now what's next on my list? Let me see. Yep. And I've talked about using Claude again to generate a trading journal. So this is the dashboard it created. I haven't used it, so none of these are actual data, but this is what they created for me. I've got a trade log, I've got playbook, psychology, post trade reviews, and instruction how to use it. Like I said, so you can customize, prompt exactly what you want in the dashboard. It can be as simple as complex as you want it to be. So that's how you should be using Claude. And finally, we talk about knowledge, and YouTube is a fantastic source for information for you to learn. So these are some of the channels I subscribe to: Chart Fanatics, Words of Wisdom, James Rosenthal, Stock Charts, S&B Capital, Humble Trader, DHTV, Market Misbehavior. Of course, there are some famous traders which I follow. Larry Williams often have videos on stock charts. So Larry Williams, if you don't know him, He is a legend. You should follow his story where he is, and he's a master of cycles. And I follow Linda Rashke. Whenever there's interview with Linda, it is always a good learning experience. So make full use of those. Make use of watching videos on YouTube, making use of Notebooklm to help you make your notes, to infographics, or to even mash up a few videos of a few different channel providers and prompt it for something that you yourself want to make use of. Well, that's all I have. I hope you find this content useful. These are the 7 tools that is totally free. Helps you with your charting, helps you with journaling, with your practicing through demo, help you with research, creating custom indicators, creating your personal dashboard, and finally helping you learn. Well, I hope you find this video helpful. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and if you would like to, please also share what other free tools that's out there that I'm not aware of, and do add to a comment. That's all for now. Thank you for watching. Happy Saturday. Today is the 6th of June. It's a beautiful day. Thank you. Bye-bye.